Welcome to Cue the Real. I'm your host, Lindsay Brand. I manifested the life of my dreams and was living the high life until I was fired in the middle of a health crisis. That moment flipped everything and rewrote my life. Through my journey, I found my way back to a different high life, one deeply aligned with what I truly desire. I've learned how to navigate stuck spaces, and now I'm here to show you how to turn life's chaos into opportunity. Hello, and welcome to Cue the Real. You know that saying about the frog in the pot, how if you put a frog in boiling water, it jumps out immediately, but if you put it in cool water and slowly heat it, it doesn't notice it's boiling until it's too late. That's kind of what growing up in your family's energy is like. You don't realize what you've been sitting in until you leave, until you come back and feel it again with fresh eyes, or rather fresh energy. For a lot of us, family energy is this quiet background frequency we've absorbed our whole lives. Their stress, their beliefs, their fears, it's all part of the water we were simmering in. And when you start doing manifestation work or just raising your awareness in general, that energy clash becomes really obvious. You start to notice that the energy you have isn't yours. It's like you've put someone else's jacket on and forgot that you were wearing it. And it just so happens that the jacket is riddled with fear of everything, and now you feel it too. The anxiety, the scarcity mindset, that need to please, whatever comes with it, those aren't your emotions. You just learned how to carry them really well because that's what you were used to. So today, we're talking about how to love your family without absorbing them. Let's cue the real. So let's start here because most of us don't realize just how much of our energy was shaped by the people we grew up around. Sure, if you were taught about energy as a kid, you might be more aware of what was going on, but the reality is the majority of us weren't. We didn't have that early enlightenment, so we just absorbed it all without knowing. When you're a kid, you don't really have your own energetic boundaries. You just absorb. If the people around you are anxious, you learn to be alert. If they're constantly worrying about money, you learn that safety equals control. If love meant keeping the peace, you learn to stay small to make other people comfortable. And it's not that anyone meant harm in this. Most of them were just doing what they learned. But when you start to grow, when you start doing inner work or manifestation work, you realize some of the things you've been carrying around aren't actually yours. They just got wired into your system from being around it for so long. That's why coming home can feel confusing. You might walk in feeling grounded, calm, and aligned, and within an hour, you're back in your old energy you thought you outgrew. This isn't because you've lost your progress of who you are now. Your nervous system is simply responding to familiar patterns that it's used to. This is the first step in loving without absorbing, distinguishing what you took on from other people from what's truly yours. Once you can do that, you start loosening the hold those old energies have on you. So what does this actually feel like? How do you know when you're absorbing someone else's energy instead of staying in your own? Honestly, it's usually small things at first. You walk into a room and suddenly feel anxious or down for no reason. You notice yourself saying yes when you really want to say no. Or maybe you leave a conversation feeling drained, like you just ran a marathon even though you were laying on the couch or on your bed the whole time. And for all you empaths out there, myself included, the more sensitive you are, the more you've probably internalized energy that was never yours to begin with. When you feel everything so deeply, your body and mind can pick up on other people's emotions without you even realizing it. You leave feeling sad, tense, or stressed, and it's not your energy to carry. I'm guilty of doing this even in a public space like the mall. When I get home from a mall trip, I need to be in a room with a closed door for 30 minutes before I can get my energy back to being just my own. It can also show up in your thoughts. You might catch yourself worrying about how someone else is feeling, trying to fix their mood, or replaying old arguments in your head even when the other person isn't around. I can't tell you how many hours of life I've wasted trying to fix other people's moods before I learned that everyone is in charge of their own mood and that they need to decide on their own what that should be for them. Once you start noticing these little moments, feeling drained after a call or replaying someone else's stress, you can start putting up subtle, energetic boundaries. Not walls, just boundaries. Because You can love people and show up for them without carrying their emotional load. One of the biggest things I realized is that I can care about people and still stay in my own energy. I don't have to carry their stress or try to fix their emotions to show love. I just stay present and aware of my own energy while I'm with them. Before I interact with someone who has this draining effect, where I feel like I take on their negative energy, I make sure I'm in a really good space energetically. That way, if I let the interaction take me down a notch or two, I'm still pretty solid. I also set a little intention in my head. I will be loving and present and keep my own energy. It's simple, but saying it like that makes it feel almost like a mantra. It reminds me of the boundaries while still keeping my heart open. And going into something with intention makes all the difference. If you just open a door and you don't have any intention and you don't know what's going to happen, it's probably not going to go as well, especially when you're putting yourself in a space where someone else's energy is at a lower level than yours. During conversations, I notice how my body feels too. If I feel tense, I pause, take a breath, and remind myself that the feelings I'm picking up aren't mine. I release any tension in my body, put my phone on speaker even to relax my entire body. Afterward, I do a quick reset. It could be sitting quietly, journaling for a few minutes, or just taking a walk. I've been really into a book that I mentioned in a previous episode called Letting Go, The Pathway to Surrender by Hawkins, and that snaps me right back into great energy every time. These little resets help me reclaim my energy and come back to myself. It's like hitting a refresh button on your system, and it feels great. The more I practice this, the more natural it becomes to show up lovingly without absorbing what isn't mine. It's subtle, but over time, it completely changes how interactions feel and how I hold my own energy. The clearer your energy, the more aligned your manifestations become. When you're carrying other people's stress, fear, or worry, it creates a static in your own frequency when you're trying to visualize what you want. By staying present and not absorbing, you can create a clean space for your own energy to thrive. It's like tuning a radio. You can finally hear your station clearly without interference from someone else's signal. And for the record, I really dislike using a radio metaphor because it's so overused in the manifestation space, but it really paints a solid picture for this specific point. When I started keeping my energy boundaries, there was a very stark difference in how I felt after interactions and how I felt before. I stopped giving away my energy and taking on other people's by reducing interactions. When I did that, when I got picky about when I did things with them or when I talked to them, I found my energy was way more clearer and I could manifest what I wanted more easily. I wasn't exhausted from everyone else's emotional weight, so I had space to feel my desires, believe them, and take aligned action. Loving your family and friends and protecting your energy isn't selfish. It's actually the best thing you can do for yourself and for your intentions. When you show up fully in your own frequency, you bring more clarity, focus, and power to everything you're trying to create. At the end of the day, the real power comes from staying in your own energy. You can care, you can show up, and you can love deeply, but their energy doesn't have to be yours. This way you can love them without losing yourself in the process. I hope this helps many of you navigate those rough waters of family boundaries. Once you set them, though, you'll find your life is much simpler. Now, if you've been binging the show, and I know you're out there because I can see the data, please take a moment and leave a review. Share with a friend. Share with a family member. Okay, that might be a little on the nose, but anyone you think might benefit from this lesson will be able to live the rest of their life protecting their energy. I will leave you with this. Remember, you can be compassionate and present for others, but the more you take on other people's emotions, the harder it is to stay connected to your own frequency. Until next time. Gotcha.